Alright, so this is my ray tracer project. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I have right here for the basic scene, beginning right off. So if I start this project up, you can see right here that we have a scene with three spheres and then these three smaller white spheres, which are area lights. So these tab right here controls our Phong power, the intensity of our point lights, and then we have an area light intensity, which I'll go over in just a second. So if I hit R, it will go ahead and render the scene, and if I hit P, I can preview the image. So as you can see here from this preview of the image, we have a textured floor, and this is a 10 by 10 texture, so this texture repeats 10 times on the floor. And you can see that we have lighting and bling Phong shading on the spheres. And then we can see we have specular highlights reflecting off the spheres. So if I go back and I change the Phong power and I increase it, render the image again, you can see that the specular highlights kind of decrease. If I increase the intensity of the point lights, you can see that the image lights up, especially like right here down the corner you can see more. If I was to decrease it significantly, you see it's not lit at all, barely any light. You can still see the specular highlights kind of. So that's cool. And then I also have the ability to add in area lights. So the area lights are in the form of meshes, and these are flat meshes. So what happens is if I take a .obj file with one of my area lights and I put it right in here, it will tell me information about the mesh, number of vertices and number of faces, and you can see it appears right up here. It always appears in the same location. And this is going to be what controls the light as well as the point lights. So if I render the image again, it's going to take a little bit longer because it has to go through and iterate through each of the different vertices of the area light, but we will see the result in just a bit. Alright, so that finished up, and you can see right here, wow, that's really bright. So we need to reduce the intensity of the area lights quite a bit. This is really bright because we have so many different vertices on this light, so it's going to show quite a bit. So let's try rendering this image once more. Alright, so let's take a look at this one, and you can see it's a lot better, but you can still see that the pattern looks a little bit off because each of these, this pattern has a particularly strange phenomenon where there's a couple of different there's different colors in this pattern at these points in this image. It's supposed to be a carpet, so that's why it's reflecting like that. But you can see that the light is still, everything is visible. You can see that the specular highlight from the area light is quite large with all of these different spheres. And we can still see the shadows. The shadow from the area light is obviously a lot softer because it's fading more so. You can see right here where it crosses with the point lights. The point lights have very sharp shadows, so it's easy to tell that those ones are not going to have as nice of an effect. So let's try this image again with a different setup. Alright, so what I did right here is I changed the textured image, and I also set the tiles for the floor. As opposed to a 10 by 10 floor, it's now a 20 by 25 tile floor, so it will not be as even, so we should be able to see that difference in here. And we're also using a different texture, so it's going to be a different image on the floor now. Alright. So here we go, and then you can see I have these lights in different areas. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the intensity of the point light just a little bit more because it's not that strong in this one. And let's go ahead and, because they're further away, so they're not going to have as strong results as the previous one. So, and I'm also going to increase the Phong power to just mess with the specular highlights on these spheres. So let's go and run into the image once more. And you can see right here that we have this image. This texture, you can actually see the repetition a bit more. The other one kind of faded, but right here we have Minecraft grass as a texture. So we can see the sharp shadows from the image, as I told you before. And as you can see, since the lights are further away, we have these specular highlights are a bit more faded, and you can't really see them that well. And these shadows are pretty well defined because they're point lights. And the image is overall just a little bit dark. And you can see right here that the repetition is kind of uneven. These aren't perfect squares because we changed it so it was a 20 by 25 tile floor. So let's see what happens if we put in another area light. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a plane. So this one has less vertices than the sphere area light. So this will make it not have as strong of an effect. So let's go ahead and see what intensity of 10 will look like for that. Okay, so whoa, that's really bright. As you can see right here, this shadow does fade out quite a bit. so that has like the soft shadows that we're looking for. But you can see right here that it's super bright, so we definitely want to dial back that intensity on that area light. Let's try an intensity of 4. So one thing to note is if you dial back the intensity quite a bit, the light will just not show up at all. So in messing around with this, it would be prudent to have an intensity that goes into smaller digits. So probably like 4. Probably like instead of the tenths area like I have here, it would be better to go into the hundredths area in a future iteration of this project. Alright, so you can see right here with the intensity dialed back, we have a better view of things, and we can actually see the texture. Right before it was just lights, and as you can see right here, this is the area light. It's definitely a lot stronger, and you can see that it fades out softly. Right here you can see the sharply defined point light. Its shadow is actually being affected by the area light, so you can see that it fades to a brighter area right here. So that's pretty cool. And I'll go and show off one more texture. Alright, so I have a different texture, which is a wood floor this time. Let's go and show that off. And I'm not going to do the area light on this one. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the intensity of the point lights since they're further away, like I said before, so it's going to be harder to see them. And let's go ahead and decrease the Phong power so that way we can see larger specular highlights. So if we render this and preview the image, there you go. So you can see that the specular highlights are quite a bit larger now because we decrease the Phong power. And again, like the previous image, the lights, it's a little bit darker because the lights are further away. So if we wanted to make it brighter, we can increase the intensity. Let's try an intensity of 40. And then there you go. It's a lot lighter right there. And with this texture, you can see that it's repeating it's a bit more square because it's repeating in a 15 by 15 pattern of tiles. And you can see where it repeats right here with this line. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's my ray tracer. Thank you for watching.